James tossed out of a game last night after striking Detroit big man Isaiah Stewart in the face while going for a rebound. The ejection was only LeBron's second in his 19-year playing career. After the game, his teammates did come to his defense, especially AD. RC, I want to start with you here, if I can get on this chair. All right, so earlier when we had this conversation, Stephen A. said he felt like Stewart deserved the stiffer punishment because he re-instigated it, like running back out again after the incident was over. Yeah. And then Jay Will was sitting in your chair in the playmaker, and they said, no, it's LeBron, because that was intentional, and he's the veteran, and he's the face of the league. Mm-hmm. So where are you on this?
I think LeBron looks worse in this situation. And don't get me wrong, you know, I get it. Isaiah Stewart is chasing after him, and he's running after people. He ain't hurt nobody. Right? Like, he didn't put his hands on LeBron. I think a lot of it is you're upset because you see the blood dripping, and you know LeBron James did that on purpose. I don't believe the intent was on purpose, but he purposely swung his arm and elbow at Isaiah Stewart. And so
but I don't understand that.
I don't believe the result, right? I don't believe he meant
to hit him, but not make him all blood. I just want to be clear on what you're saying.
He meant to send the message, but not the
and when you make that decision, this is possible. Now, if Isaiah Stewart, because he's right next to LeBron, one, basketball players, they ain't really trying to fight anyone. He ain't trying to fight. He's acting. Right? He's upset, and he wants to run after people. He wants to do all that. He got close to DeAndre Jordan, and he stopped, and he let people grab him. Isaiah Stewart was just mad. But what LeBron James did, he did on purpose. What LeBron James did, he has to understand. He understands that he can't do because he's never done it. And what's going to happen is we're going to look at LeBron James's his behavior as a man, his behavior as a player, as being just a stellar pillar of what the NBA should be. And you're going to look at it as whole, like, okay, we might necessarily have to punish him for this one act, but this one act is all that counts right now. And if you're the NBA, you have to send a message to the rest of the world that we aren't going to treat LeBron James any different in this case because he's LeBron James.
A couple of things. Number one, Byron Spruill, I believe he's the president of league operations for the NBA. Kiki Vandeweghe used to handle the disciplinary matters. He departed in July. There's no replacement for him. There needs to be a replacement for him because we need basketball people making these kind of decisions. I think that's important, that people that can bring context to what transpired. Having said all of that, I don't disagree with the words you said about LeBron James. I don't believe the ramifications that came from it, like, for example, the blood and all that. I don't think he intended anything like that.
He did either.
But clearly he threw the elbow intentionally. I do understand people that sit up there and say, you know what if you got an elbow to your face? I get all of that, right? But here's the reality of the situation. Optics matter.
Okay.
I hit you with an elbow, okay? Regardless of what we want to think, those kind of things do happen from time to time in the sport of basketball. What Isaiah Stewart did does not. That doesn't happen often. When you bulldoze over numerous teammates and coaches, I mean, you saw bodies actually flying trying to help. Now, you could say he wasn't trying to do anything, and that's fine. But I'm talking about what he actually did. What he actually did was bulldoze over assistant coaches, bulldoze over numerous players, okay? They had to get security. They had to get law enforcement officials involved. They had to do all of this other stuff because you were completely out of control. What I'm saying is, based off of things that have happened in the NBA in the past, and we're not trying to compare this to the Malice and the Palace, but based off of those things optically, that is what the league is primarily concerned over. Now, they have to penalize LeBron because he was the instigator. He definitely should be suspended. But what I'm saying is, what was worse optically was the display that Isaiah Stewart put on. And when you have people, because we got people, you know, we all got
so you think this, so that optically is worse than Jokic, Morris. That optically is worse than Gobert, and I forget who it was, getting tangled up early on this season. That optic to me of Isaiah Stewart, the worst optic is him with blood streaming down his face as compared to chasing after people.
And I'm telling you, the league.
For the league,
I believe the league would respectfully disagree with you because the league is looking at the league is looking at advertisers. They're looking at sponsors. And more importantly, they're looking at their ability. They know that those folks are looking at their ability to control a situation.
Everybody stay in their seats and all of that. That's the worst.
Sponsors, you're talking about LeBron James, the face of the league, and a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So what you're saying,
I really want to ask this question. So you're saying, in that situation, Isaiah Stewart has to protect the league by getting hit by LeBron, by bleeding, just grabbing a towel and walking off.
I'm saying to you that in that particular situation, if Isaiah Stewart had immediately reacted and attacked LeBron James, that's an entirely different look than him bulldozing over numerous teammates and coaches and having to be restrained by 15 different people. See, if he reacted, if LeBron James had elbowed him and he just reacted and went right at LeBron, that's different. That's you and LeBron. And LeBron instigated it. What I'm saying is when all of those other people get involved and it takes that amount of stuff to restrain you, that is what the league is going to look at.
Maybe it took a second to see all the blood in his face and all that, to see how banged up he was. Maybe it took a second.
I'm pretty sure, too, though. I'm pretty sure as being that young man, you realize who you're walking up to. You know that's LeBron.
But also, too, though, you got to walk back in the locker room. And you saw when AD, what he said, we're going to protect ours. There's some egos and some codes that are involved in all of this, too. Because we will protect ours.
And you're supposed to.
Right. And yes, you do. Yes, you do. But in this situation, that what we're talking about is exciting something, making it bigger than even this right here. That's the league's #1 worry right there. That's why they're making an announcement. Everybody stay in your seats. As he's going crazy and running wild. That's why you are saying what you are saying, because when he's running wild like that, that excites everybody else. And now we can have another situation that nobody wants to have.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.